Without further ado, let's get started with the first one, which caught my attention because Uber Canada, because my account is registered here, emailed me about their preferred currency, uh, the new preferred currency bit, which is a novel idea. I guess they are trying to make a little more money out of all their customers. So they are now offering within the Uber system for you to be able to pay in your home currency, no matter where you go. And they have allocated certain currencies in there already, Canadian, US dollar, the euro, and things like that. And that immediately brought it to my attention that, oh my God, how many people are going to leave it at default? And I think that's what the email suggested, that the default setting is going to be your home currency. So if you don't get into your settings, into your Uber settings, and change that to local currency preference, it will always bill you in your home currency wherever your account is registered. And they're doing it at a price of 1.5% fee on top. And this is such a bad idea for anybody that uses Uber wherever you are in the world. If you are traveling, if you're not in your home, I mean, and I put out a story on Instagram about this, right? Uber or not, just always pay in local currency. If you're in India, pay in rupees. If you're in the US, pay in US dollars. If you're in Europe, pay in euros. Do not, if you were from Canada, for example, do not be paying in Canadian dollars wherever you travel, simply because you are going to get charged quite a bit. So I quickly looked up if other banks had some sort of data on how much it might actually cost by the end of that transaction if you were to pay in your home currency. And there, Amex has a post about it. I think CIBC has something on it, and everything ranges between 5% to 6% by the time that transaction is locked and loaded into your statement. You could be looking at paying 5 to 6% more if you chose to pay in your home currency, which is, again, for example, as a Canadian, if I'm traveling to India to see my parents, and for charges that I'm making there, if I choose to pay in Canadian dollars at that terminal, at the point of sale, then I could be paying anywhere between 5 to 6% by the time that particular charge hits up my statement. Which is insane. And the other misnomer I've heard, and this is genuinely coming from my friend circle around me, those that are not into points and such, but everybody travels. So I've heard this from other friends saying that, hey, my card doesn't charge me a foreign exchange fee, so I should be okay. And the answer is no, you will not be okay. Even if your card doesn't charge you foreign exchange fee, you are not immune to paying 5 to 6% more, simply because of what's the terminology they use? Dynamic currency conversion. I think it's called DCC is the banking term. If you choose to constantly pay in your home currency worldwide, you are getting a dynamic currency conversion sort of quote unquote charge, which is basically that terminal that you're paying at is deciding a fixed exchange rate, which could be much higher than what a Visa or a MasterCard or even Amex will charge you if you chose to just pay in local currency and let your card do its conversion. The best combination, no matter where you travel, is have a card that doesn't charge you for an exchange fee and always pay in local currency. That's your locked and loaded. That's the closest you'll come to sort of not getting charged anything above and beyond what you should be. Amal is giving some. Oh, Amal, thank you so much. Amal says to change the settings in your Uber app, go to account, wallet, preferred currency, and under payment methods, just change it to preferred currency. Yeah, that's exactly where you would be doing it. The reason this entire Uber thing caught me by surprise was because of this entire thing about them making the default setting to be your home currency, which I find is very sort of uncompetitive and very, I mean, they're shoving that 1.5% down in people's throat. So regardless of if you're traveling for business or whatever, if you have an Uber account, and Uber is typically the first one in the market to do something, and then the others quickly follow. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lyft or any other app services will go down that path. I've never paid attention to uh, Grab taxi like the one in Asia, the one that's based out of Singapore, or even when I go to India, what the Indian apps are doing, Indian rideshare services are doing, but Uber going this way just doesn't bode well because, oh my God, 1.5% on top of everything else is just insane. Adam says dynamic is equal to we decide how much to screw you over. Yep, Adam, that is exactly what it is. Alex says, I wonder if the big banks will off their travel cards with no foreign exchange and give up the cash grab. Canada has a few, and it was a sad day HSBC left. Yeah, Alex, for sure. I mean, what is the incentive, right, for banks to change that behavior? I think banks now that the door has opened a little bit, we are seeing a few banks and few cards allow the no foreign exchange fee here in Canada. But it's a good way to go down that path simply because when one starts to do it, a market leader shows up, the others will follow, especially if you have competing products in that sort of in that line of product. So the fact that we have the Scotia Amex Gold card, and there are other cards like Rogers card, which don't charge you, which don't waive the foreign exchange fee, but they give you something like a 3% return if you're making USD purchases, which essentially means you're getting zero point 0.5 in return. So there's other ways of looking at this as well. The incentive for banks to waive that fee for everybody is very low, given the sheer percentage of Canadians that travel overseas. And I mean, there are no prizes for guessing. It is a large percentage of Canadians that travel, especially when you think about traveling even to the US. Think about all of the phenomena of that snowbird thing, right? Where people that have retired or have time will spend as much of the winters away from Canada as possible and then come back. So that because there's such a large chunk of people that are traveling and using their cards anyways, and they are going to make those expenses, the incentive for banks to do it in Canada is a lot less than, say, a US, because as a percentage of their population, far fewer people are traveling outside of the US, or far few people even have passports to begin with in the US, right? We've all heard and seen data points about this. So in that case, when banks are providing that as an added incentive on their cards, they are playing the numbers game. So they understand that this part might be used by, say, a small percentage, let's say 10% of the people that are traveling, but the vast majority, 90% of the cardholders are never going to, in fact, make use of that no foreign exchange fee transaction. So it really looks good on marketing guidelines and things like that, or for promotion sakes. But for Canadians, we are traveling. We are the population that travels quite a bit outside of Canada organically. So you don't need cards to sort of convince you one way or the other to do it. But now that we have at least a couple of cards in the market that allow you to do that, I'm hoping as we go further, say a Scotia Passport card and the others, we will see no foreign exchange becoming a more mainstream perk across all cards from banks in Canada. I don't know if everybody will do it, but I think we'll get to a point where almost every bank, every credit card provider has one or two products that are particularly for with that no foreign exchange fee perk added in there. Yeah, Alex is reminding me about Grab, Kareem, Bolt, always charge in local currency as far as I know. Well, yeah, that's good, Alex. I had never paid attention to it, to be honest. It's good to see that they're all charging in local currency, which is what Uber was doing as well, because all of this time when I would travel wherever I would go, it would always show me everything in the local currency. I'll get charged in local currency, so all was good. This was the first time I really was taken aback with the fact that they are going to make that default setting not be local currency. Iyad says, I wonder if you can use your Canadian Costco gift cards internationally. It'll be lucrative as you'll be saving quite a bit, 20% off Costco and then 1.5 markup, which is negotiable if you're earning Costco. Oh, sorry, which is negligible if you're earning Costco cashback card. Yeah, that's another way of doing it. I've never tried it, but yeah, that's it. Iyad is speaking exactly to what I was suggesting earlier, is the flip of that is also if you have a card that doesn't have a foreign exchange fee perk on it, but allows you to earn, say, a 5x or a 6x on a particular transaction, and you know you're getting that in return, then essentially you can just whatever minus 2.5% for the foreign exchange fee. And then that way you're still coming out ahead, so to speak. Right. And the next one on would be the next topic I have listed, sort of that caught my attention, was obviously uh, there was this Sky Team. Vietnam Airlines had put out a status match promotion, I guess last month, perhaps at some point last month, some early 2025, and it was very specific to residents of certain countries. And for those of you that caught our chat with Mark from Status Match last week. Then he spoke about this particular promotion as well. The latest news as of last week is that that particular promotion did not include Canada, but now includes Canada and includes airlines like Air Canada, WestJet. So if you have status with Air Canada or WestJet, you could easily status match your way to Vietnam Airlines, who are part of SkyTeam. So obviously, this is a very specific. This will really apply to a specific population that is that is going to be flying SkyTeam in the near future. And is looking to leverage that kind of status for priority services, especially for lounge access. If you were not traveling in premium cabins to begin with, this is a paid promotion. I do have that direct link to Vietnam Airlines. So here's I'll throw that link in here, folks. Give me a second. There. So yeah, Lotus Miles Status Match is the link. That's for Vietnam Airlines. It is a paid promotion. From few clicks here and there and reading some of the Flyer Talk comments, it seems like it's about 299 or 300 US dollars for you to be able to put yourselves out there for that match. And once you submit everything, then you will be able to status match your Air Canada or your WestJet status across. The status match itself is fairly generous in that, from what I was reading on their website, it looks like the Air Canada match, if you are 50K or above, you could be matched to a mid-tier status, which is SkyTeam Elite, which mid-tier status with Vietnam Airlines, which equates to SkyTeam Elite, which is kind of like Star Gold of the SkyTeam world. And if you have 75K or 100K, you could be matched to the top tier, which equates to SkyTeam, whatever they call it, SkyTeam Elite Plus, I think. And SkyTeam Elite Plus will give you a few more perks. To be very honest, you are not going to spend, I don't think anybody listening to this chat here is going to spend $300 simply to fly more Vietnam Airlines, because there's not much scope of upgrades and such. So if you look at closer to home, oh, there's a comment about Delta. Iyad says, very curious if you have Vietnam status. Would that do anything in terms of upgrades to say Delta? I think it'll just still slot you wherever Delta slots you in that rung of upgrade priority list, the same as Sky Elite. SkyTeam Elite or SkyTeam Elite Plus, wherever those members get slotted in, I think you'll just slot in there to begin with. So I don't think it necessarily bumps you up, but yeah, if you are looking at Delta and upgrading yourself through the Delta program, on a Delta flight, for example, then yeah, it might just slot you in that priority list the same way as you. A SkyTeam Elite or a SkyTeam Elite Plus member maybe slotted when they fly Delta. Speaking of, and the reason Delta is sort of the closest to home, if you were thinking of Delta even lounge wise, then just reminder that Delta lounge access is not for domestic itineraries. It's only for international itineraries. Always a word that scrambles my tongue. Yeah, but if you're flying between Canada and US, you'll still be okay. You'll be able to use their lounge and whatnot. So that might be a decent way of doing it if you have a few Delta flights between Canada and US. If you're primarily going to fly Delta within the US, the lounge access will not open up for you, even with the status match. So yeah, in a very specific and a specific case-based scenario, it might work for some people that the status match now opening to Canadians is a good thing. It wasn't even an option up until a couple of weeks ago, but just last week we were informed that Canada was now part of that group of residents that this status match is applicable to. And then both WestJet and I don't know if Porter will match. I didn't check, but WestJet, Air Canada definitely will. So both of them are available to you. Which sort of caught my attention is, well, closer to home. Air Canada, there was a article on CBC about an Air Canada delayed baggage claim gone wrong. So basically, uh, as per the article, the couple that was traveling on Air Canada was on had gone to Vancouver for a weekend, and their baggage was delayed. Uh, they went ahead and submitted claims to the tune of $3,400 or something like that with the CTA. It took a little while, but CTA sided with the couple, so with the customer. Uh, and ordered Air Canada to pay, I think, 2000 or $2,400 is the max you can claim. So I think that's what they were asked to pay the couple. However, Air Canada did not agree with that decision and is now taking that matter to a higher court for a decision. And interestingly, they're not taking the CTA to the courts. They're only taking the customers to the higher court, basically saying that whatever their claims have been were not justified. And the more you read into that CBC article here, I actually have it open with me. The more you read that CBC article and a few other forums, oh, Adam is ahead of me. Thank you, Adam. Heather, well done, folks. um, yeah, and the more you read into it, you realize that there's a couple of key things that the couple well, a couple of key things. The customers did a couple of things that makes me side with Air Canada, at least on a policy side of things on this one, because turns out, again, this is purely based on what I'm reading on some forums and what I'm reading on CBC. The baggage was indeed delayed and was delivered to the couple's hotel 24 hours later. But the receipts that they submitted included items that they had purchased vis-a-vis a Toomey bag and a pair of sneakers and something of that tune, which was purchased hours after the baggage was already delivered to the hotel room. So does that mean just because the baggage was delivered to the hotel room that the couple had access to their bag and the contents right away? I think that's where the contesting sort of views come from is yes, you delivered it to my hotel, but maybe because I was there only for a weekend, I'm out and about. I'm not sitting in the hotel waiting for my bag. And so when I'm out and about, I am going to assume that I can still continue to purchase and whatnot. Whereas from Air Canada's perspective, it basically they have met their commitment in delivering the bag to wherever the couple is within 24 hours. So yes, they'll pay for whatever emergency things that the couple needed within that 24 hours, which is acceptable sort of items to purchase. But the bag and a pair of shoes and stuff, especially when the receipt clearly shows that it was purchased hours after the bag was delivered, creates a scenario where Air Canada thinks that the CTA judgment is not justified. Um, so yeah, that's interesting. And to be very honest, as somebody that has in the last couple of years dealt with lost bag, delayed bags, uh, flight cancellations, we spoke about this last week as well, and applied for compensation. I personally like to stick to the policy in black and white. So yes, there might be conjuncture that the customers, when the bag was delivered to the hotel, may not have been there, and they had no way of sort of have access to no way to access contents from that bag at that very moment. Uh, I would only submit receipts. One, I would have gone and purchased everything that I need for the next 24 hours in an emergency, so essential items. And the more I think about it, like a Toomey bag or a pair of sneakers or something else doesn't, in my mind, count as essential items. There are several people out there that are constantly trying to maximize or sometimes even game the system. What it does is the more payouts these airlines have to do for such claims, it really makes, in a very crude way, it makes flying more expensive for the rest of us. Does that make sense? Because airlines are not going to be putting money out of their pocket into these things. They will start accounting for they already do, let's be honest. But the more payouts they have to make to customers and the more sort of the more money they put into compensations and things like that, um, they will start accounting that into ticket prices. Uh, so it makes things more expensive for us. With that in mind, again, two ways of viewing this, that airlines should do far better in the way that they manage baggage handling, in the way that they manage their communications, in the way that they deliver. Yes, yes, and yes. Dahlia chimes in. Dahlia says, we live in a capitalist system, though. Airlines will always try to increase profits for shareholders, regardless of whether there's people that try to game the system. 100%. 100%. And everything that I've said stands true with all or everything that you've said, Dahlia, with everything that Heather is saying, with everything that this community might be thinking and not saying, which is that they should be maximizing every moment that they get because this is their chance. And when airlines mess up, it really is a chance for the customer to get one up on the airline. And as much as I understand the sentiment behind that, I'm merely cautioning the fact that the more and more people that do this, it becomes a little more expensive for all of us, including the people that are doing it. Um, so I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying there is a difference between abusing a system and using a system. And that's what I'm trying to point out here. Uh, Another comment comes in from Alex. Alex says, I totally get what you're saying, but I think quite a few people have low opinion of how airlines work. Oh, trust me, I'm not any different, Alex. But here, continuing on to your comment, specifically referring to the fact that the airlines outright lie on the fact that Oh, sorry, outright lie on the fact when it is irregular operations and others make people jump through hoops to get what they are owed according to the law. So I totally get how people want to take advantage of them as much as possible. Not sure who's right or wrong. And yeah, 100%. I'll add your comment to that same list of what Dahlia said, what Heather said. 100%. That's why I started by saying can airlines do better? Should airlines do better? And the answer to all of that is yes. So what I think is or should happen is first Canada needs to get as close to where the U.S. policies are, and then once we get there, there's a long way to go to where the European Union policies are, or the EC 260, EU 261, EC 261, what we were discussing last week. There's a long way to go, and I think this is just a period where airlines are also learning the more compensation they pay, hopefully somebody in the airlines, before just jacking up the pricing for the sake of it, realizes that it really the buck stops with them. That if you manage your baggage handling better, and yes, there's going to be, if an airline executive was on the call, they'll try and explain how many other players are involved in baggage handling and how they are not directly involved in all of this and have very little control after a certain point of time. I get all of that, but the onus, the agreement is between the customer and the airline, and this is where the airline need to really up their game. And unfortunately, that has not happened. And I haven't seen anything before COVID, during COVID, since COVID, in terms of a change from an airline attitude towards compensating, towards one, determining compensation, and second, even paying for that compensation for the customers without the customers having to jump hoops. That's just where it is. So yes, agreeing with you, Alex, that yes, that's the reason the customers really turn the uh, sort of turn the tables on the airlines whenever they can and really stick it to them. It comes at a cost. Okay. Uh, right. So let's I have a couple of things I was hoping to do was outside of these little news items. I wanted to discuss two things and particularly get your input of what you think works, what you think doesn't work, what improvements are possible on the idea of fixed points travel. And when I say fixed points travel, I'm thinking about Amex fixed point travel, which sort of really publishes that chart, tells you that, say 15,000 points will take you from these popular routes, or 20,000 points can take you to a neighboring province or a neighboring state in the US. And you can redeem at these fixed values against maximum ticket price. that. RBC is the other big player in this, which is RBC Fixed Points Flight Redemptions, where they publish a chart and you're able to use those charts and basically understand how many points will allow you to redeem for those flights. Of course, in both of these scenarios, you still have to pay the tax portion. These points are applicable only towards the base ticket pricing. So I really wanted to get some feedback from you and just generally understand what motivates you or demotivates you from using some of these perks. Because as somebody that talks about, hey, folks that listen to this talk on a weekly basis and know me know that I'm an affiliate with both Amex and RBC. So I just want to make it very clear this is not about selling you the cards, but just purely understanding this often overlooked or misunderstood perk within these card providers, within the ecosystem of these card providers. Yeah, and Heather is saying last minute backup plans perhaps is the way to look at it. Iyad says, Iyad right off the back says to improve Amex, adding a certain percentage back when using fixed points on premium cards, like what Business Plat in the US offers. So say that again, Iyad. I don't think I understand. Adding a certain percentage back when using fixed points on premium cards. Hmm. Right. I was thinking about the International Airline Program, but that's not the fixed value. The IAP program does allow discounted redemption on business class tickets in Canada as well, but it's nowhere close to what the US is. Oh, there it is, Sash. Sash says he's talking about the 35% rebate on the US business platinum. Yes, yes. But again, in the context of, I take that as an improvement. I think that's a big one. If they are able to offer that, that will make the program a lot more lucrative. But purely looking at these fixed charts, and before I even go there, is there anybody else in Canada that publishes this kind of chart towards a fixed redemption? It actually, to be very honest, if you get very technical about this, the chart is not a fixed redemption because it has a maximum ticket value. So if you don't hit the max ticket value, depending on how close or far you are from that ticket value, the redemption can change, right? So if you get really technical, it's not a fixed redemption. Yes, Sash, you're right. Sash is talking about, Sash says, I love RBC fixed price, can get consistent 2 cents per point. Yes. And I think RBC has done a better job, better than Amex in trying to get you that two cents per point kind of redemption. And even if you look at their regular sort of if you were booking business class, it's super easy as well, right? Like if you have a premium card, like if you have, we're talking about RBC, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have the VIP card, the RBC Avion Visa Infinite Privilege card, or members of the RBC Avion Infinite Visa Business can both use those points towards flat 2 cents per point redemption when they're buying business class. Yeah, those two cards as Sash. Yes, so those are what I call quote unquote premium card redemptions. But even from the fixed charts, if you look at and compare the fixed charts between Amex and RBC, we are not talking about the premium card redemptions, just the chart itself, you'll notice that RBC is a lot more generous at the maximum price allowed, maximum ticket price allowed in their offerings. And I wanted to sort of take this and, oh, did I lose my page here? I had that page open somewhere. These are the two charts that I'm comparing. So when you look at both of these charts, you'll realize that one, the max ticket pricing is very different. And let's take the example of these, the 15,000, so the tier, right? So there's tiers. We are talking round trip. So 15,000 for quick getaways, 35,000 if you within North America. This is the RBC chart, the first couple of tiers. And the first couple of tiers on the Amex one looks, they have this section called popular routes within Canada and US short haul, and that's 15,000. And then if you wanted to sort of do more adjacent province in Canada or adjacent state in the US, it is 20,000 points. So just that to begin with. If you want to get to the neighboring state or neighboring province, RBC comes out ahead because they're doing it at 15,000 points. Amex is doing it at 20,000 points, 20,000 Amex points. And the max ticket price is $350 with RBC, whereas the max base ticket price with Amex is only $300. So right off the back, even for those small short haul redemptions, RBC is doing a much better job in that regard. And when you compare that to, say, the next big ones that people fly to are holiday destinations or sun destinations, as Air Canada would call it. But in this case, we are looking at 50,000 points if you're going to a vacation spot, kind of like Canada to Alaska, Bermuda, Caribbean, Central America, Hawaii, or Mexico. That's the definition. The maximum base price ticket for that is $800 with Amex. And that's 50,000 Amex points for that redemption. It's only 45,000 with RBC, and the max ticket price is $900. So no matter which one you compare, it seems like the max ticket price is always a little bit higher with RBC, so it gives you a little more room in terms of buying those tickets. And sometimes even if you get the base pricing, you can go standard pricing, a little flex pricing, and things like that, because the max ticket price is a little bit more with RBC for a little less number of points. Now, when you're redeeming, so say if you were to redeem, right? If you were to redeem for a particular segment, oh, Imel says, example, I've seen Toronto ORD, Chicago, sorry, Toronto, Chicago for 13,000 all in on Avion with variable points versus 15,000 plus taxes on fixed points. Yes. And so in this case, Amal, you're comparing the flexible versus the fixed 100%. So I think what you are pointing out is sometimes the flexible points could be cheaper. Within that is, again, we are talking dynamic 101, that yes, things can be expensive, but there are times when things can be cheaper than the published rate as well. So this is what is happening in your example, which is, yes, the published rate is 15,000 plus taxes, but sometimes the pricing is cheaper than that. So you're better off going with the flex points redemption as opposed to the fixed points redemption. The good thing is there's no, the search engine is the exact same. So within RBC, it's the same search engine. Within Amex, it's the same search engine. So when you search and redeem, you should be able to compare and contrast that fixed versus flex right on that same page and redeem it. Where I was getting at was, if you were to say, take that example of Toronto, Chicago, if you were to redeem for that particular one and you had Amex points to redeem, you also had RBC points to redeem. Am I assuming correctly that most people listening to this would redeem with RBC? Like if you had to redeem through these fixed points and not through Amex. And again, we are not talking about comparing, just let's not even get into the transfer partners because that's a different thing altogether. Are we in agreement? Yeah, Heather says yes. I guess we are all in agreement that the RBC one is slightly better because in my mind, Amex membership rewards are more valuable point to point than an RBC point. Is that a fair statement, or does somebody think no, not always? RBC can stand toe to toe with an Amex point to point if you were to look at the entire ecosystem and not just fixed chart redemptions. Emil says for economy, yes, definitely. Heather, I'm more likely to use, Heather's bringing in another player. I'm more likely to use TD, first class or more rewards. Fair enough. Yeah, I think between the two, the reason I sort of was fixated at these two was because they publish this as such a fixed point redemption and they don't necessarily talk too much around the 1 cent per point or 2 cent per point, or heck, even what Imel suggested, which is sometimes flex pricing within their own program is a lot better than the fixed one. So I was just looking at these two because of the published chart and then wondering why would anybody pick the Amex fixed redemption chart over an RBC chart, particularly with those two things that I pointed out. Cheaper on points and more room on the maximum ticket price. Doesn't Aventura have something similar? I'm not sure. Does Aventura have something similar where they pub? I don't think there's a published chart with Aventura. Yes, CIBC. I mean, every program has something in their reward charts where you can redeem at a fixed price. Like a Scotia Scene Plus, for example, you can always redeem at that static level. But we are talking about these charts that the two programs have put together and expect their customers to use that as a baseline to their decision making of flying and redeeming. So yeah, if you see something from Aventura that they have done, maybe I've missed that. Feel free to plug that in here, and I'm happy to take a look at that. Now, so yes, so I think going back to Iyad's comment initially about that baseline improvement. What do you think? Let's talk Amex first, and because we are saying Amex is slightly worse off than RBC here. So let's talk about the Amex fixed point redemption travel program. So one of the feedback, obviously, that Iyad gave was get a fixed percentage return, kind of like what the US cards do with Business Platinum. What are some of the easier improvements that you think will convince you to use the fixed points chart with Amex a little more than using, say, an RBC? I think increasing the max ticket pricing, at least bringing it to the level where RBC is, or in fact beating them on that max ticket price would be a great way to do it, because then again you are inadvertently increasing the value one is getting out of that redemption. So I think that would be a good one to do. The other piece that I sort of as you play around, and I was playing around just before we went live, uh, was not every airline is captured from a particular route. So say, for example, a popular route like a Toronto to Montreal, for example, in Canada. Not every airline that flies that route was listed in the search results for both of these. So I think, or if you open up the US, then that just opens it up altogether. So say that Toronto to Chicago route, or Toronto to LA, or something like that, where there are so many flight options possible. It wasn't capturing every airline at a certain price point. So that's the other big one. So just to bring on more airlines into the mix, I think would allow people a little more flexibility, a little more room in terms of what timings are available. The other piece that I could think of right off the back was uh, getting more availability from those airlines can also be a big negotiating thing, simply because in that example that I was searching, which was Toronto, Montreal, I noticed that if I did that same search for points redemption on, say, an Aeroplan, I was seeing so many more flights on that particular day, or pretty much every flight, because they do list every flight, and every flight has seats available. But when you did that same search on an Amex or an RBC, you could only see certain flights on certain times of the day that were available for you to redeem. So less flexible with these fixed programs, because you're not getting all of the time slots that you could. Uh, so to me, the max base ticket, bringing on more airlines, bringing on more availability from those airlines would be the easy fixes that kind of allow you to sort of, bump the proposition of somebody using a program like an Amex or an RBC fixed points redemption. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Because Amex does allow round trip one ways at half the price. Where else could Amex do something better? I mean, that percentage value back is a good one. Like, even if they kept the chart the way it is right now, and say kind of like what they do on the flex ticketing right now, I think now they do have a promotion running where it's like 30% back on your flexible points redemption with Amex. So again, we are going away from this idea of fixed points chart, but they are doing it on the flex side. Iyad was basically suggesting that if they could do something like that, like a 30% back or a 35% back or whatever percentage back from the fixed chart as well, then that would make it a really, really good way of using that program within it. And of course, there's so much sort of mathematical calculation, money involved, how many people redeem it, how much percentage they can really give you, what the value would be and whatnot comes through. So Yeah, it says, I think ultimately for this group, the question is how far can my points take me? We get so much value by transferring points because the cash prices just suck. Yeah, 100%. But I think there's a critical mass where you come in, right? Like I can give you examples of people that don't care how much RBC is charging because they have looped in uh, using their RBC points towards getting status from an airline. So no matter what flight they take, they won't buy cash flights directly from, say, for example, in Air Canada. They will constantly redeem RBC points towards them because for them it's much easier to generate RBC points through their sort of day-to-day expenses or business travel or whatnot, because they are really eyeing the ultimate goal to them is really the status piece. So they're able to leverage a lot of their RBC points, kind of like what Sash was saying, right? Like it's so easy to get 2 cents per point that you don't have to, wreck your brain over, oh, am I getting 2.5? Am I getting 2.6? Am I getting 2.8? It's just simple. You know you're getting 2 cents per point. I'm going to go ahead and use RBC because I'm going to get my status qualifying stuff as well, and all of that. And I don't have to worry about I mean, the ultimate goal is not just being able to use the RBC points at that baseline point, but you're looking at status and everything else. So yeah, I mean, for this community, this very small fraction of people, just transferring points makes more sense. I get that, but I think there's a lot more that we could do to leverage some of these redemptions within these programs. Because let's be honest, we all fly. I mean, how many? Let's even if you want to talk about this community only, then let's talk about positioning flights. What do we do for positioning flights? Then in that case, this becomes a great tool for using this as your currency for positioning flights. If you were chasing redemptions that are mostly available, say through a New York or say through a Chicago or a Seattle, or not Seattle, but or actually, why not Seattle, or a Seattle or San Francisco or an LA, that you have to be able to fund either money or points towards your positioning flight. And I think again, that positioning flight concept really brings it back to some of these programs that allow you to not just redeem points, but also earn all of the elite status and get recognized as quote unquote a cash fare within that particular program, airlines program. So yeah, to your point, for this group, it'll always make more sense to transfer your points and redeem. But as we go further and further into this world of redemption, we realize that not every single redemption is the same. Not just because you can transfer somewhere and theoretically get better value doesn't mean that you will be able to get better value, because you might struggle with availability, you might struggle with flexibility, you might struggle with a whole bunch of other things, and then also have to position yourself to a particular city if you were to get that particular flight. So bringing the focus back, that even this group can do a better job of positioning some of these currencies towards very specifically, say, a positioning flight, or towards those small short haul redemptions that you take. Hey, look, towards coming down to a Vancouver or a Toronto for a PMB meetup, right? In that case, you don't have to spend more money out of pocket. Then you really use or leverage some of these programs that may give you that just 2 cents per point, but at least that option is available to you. Uh, Sash is saying, also, once you get past always maximizing, you start to look at other options like fixed points redemptions. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, that initially to somebody that's starting off, yes, always maximize. And I'm saying no, I mean, I'm not just saying that those that are starting off should maximize and others shouldn't. Everybody should be able to maximize, but beyond that, you are constantly, I mean, where was I? Was this a conversation on Discord? I don't know where we were chatting about this, but somebody said that I only look for direct flights now, and that is becoming more and more my reality as I'm getting older. Is I'm willing to let go of a little bit of value if it allows me to go from point A to point B direct, right? So instead of giving me a 3 cent or a 4 cent value, if it gives me just 2 cent value and I am able to use my RBC to go from point A to point B, you bet my bottom dollar, I will be going direct and I will be going 2 cents per point value. I do not care for that 4 cent per value that might require me to position somewhere else. Uh, Sash jumps and says it's the boomer effect. He's the same. Yeah. Uh, yes, and Dahlia bringing in words of wisdom, which is you need a mix of both fixed and flexible. Yes, and that's where I was getting at is don't brush off this. I mean, I'm not saying, yeah, that you are brushing us off. I'm just saying, in my mind, let's not just think about maximizing everything and transferring your points over whenever you can. Do that when you know that you need it for a specific thing and can redeem. But the ability to use some of these Amex points, and particularly some of these RBC points for fixed or flexible redemption within their own program for positioning, for more flexibility, uh, it's there, and it speaks volumes to what points can do for you if you use it the right way. And the right way doesn't have to be the right way. It is the right way for you. Um, IML says direct versus connecting flights. We talked about it on various what's the point on flying with kids conversations. Yeah, 100%. I mean, flying with kids is just as a concept, you should only be going point to point direct and don't worry as much about your 3.3 cents per point redemptions. Just take that 2 cents per point redemption and go direct if you can. You'll be a much happier customer. Trust me. I mean, trust the people that travel with kids. So yeah, those are my takeaways from this conversation. I kind of thought that those would be it. Is max ticket pricing, more airline options, uh, perhaps a better percentage return, or as a promotion, allow percentage return on some of these fixed redemptions as well. What was it? There was another one, but yeah, I think we've done well in that kind of feedback, and yeah, and largely all of us are agreeing that the RBC chart is a lot more lucrative than the Amex ones for simple reasons. Charges less points, allows you more allows you more room in that max ticket pricing, which enhances value. Right. So this is also the time of the year where the industry is trying to award the best airlines, the best hotel programs, the best loyalty programs out there. And one of my favorites, one of the ones that I really even pay attention to, is Freddie Awards. And we've spoken about Freddie Awards on this forum a lot. So Freddie Awards is now available for you to cast your ballot and vote. Here, I'll plug in, and I can tell you that more and more airlines, hotels, and loyalty programs care about these awards, particularly about the Freddie Awards one, because it's prestigious, the Freddie Awards. It's one of the oldest ones out there and has the largest catchment of members that vote in. And it's a region by region. So we are not talking about a particular award where mostly Canadians that travel the most, mostly points community that is voted in. Just sheer numbers in terms of how many millions of travelers across the world vote into Freddie Awards is beats competition by yards and yards. So if you haven't looked at Freddie Awards, I've posted the link there. Feel free to plug in your ballots. In fact, what I wanted to do was let's make this a little fun and get your comments and whatnot and allow me to vote. I've opened up ballots. I may as well just put my vote in there right now. Let me do a quick screen share and see if we could do this in a way that's fun and engaging. Right. So, and this is the link that I posted for you folks in there. So the first one is Program of the Year, Airline. So I'm clicking through. I mean, this one should be easy for us because we're in Canada. Yes, Iyad, haha. Iyad, why don't you take up stand-up? Because your jokes seem to be getting better by the day. Uh, okay, is there a program? I'm just going to keep it simple. Is there a program better than Aeroplan as an overall airline program in the Americas, right? So don't forget, this is within the Americas. So we are voting. We're not voting in the world. We are voting within the Americas. And hence, you don't see some of the bigger European programs out here. You're seeing Life Miles, Azul, United, Spirit, WestJet. To be honest, goddamn WestJet, they has such fan following. I've seen them, WestJet, win when I attended one of these Freddie Awards back in the day, 2017 maybe, and WestJet won. I had a tear rolling down because I was like, seriously, WestJet as a program in Americas? But yeah, the program apparently keeps it very simple, has locked in its membership base and people that use WestJet and does a great job at it. Is there a program? So again, going back, is there a program that's overall better than Aeroplan? Because this is where my cursor is going to hover. Uh, I don't see any comments in there suggesting that most of you are agreeing to it. Alex is a contrarian. Alex says, hard to say. Current Aeroplan, I would say, is good, but after May 25th, hard to say. Overall traveling Aeroplan for sure, but for ease of use for premium cabins, American Airlines and Alaska, I might vote above. Fair enough. I think Alaska is up there. American, very, very close, but I think for me, Aeroplan continues to be the program simply because just again, number of partners, number of airlines you're able to book. And yes, after March, whatever, Etihad and United may not be as readily available at the price points that we like, but at least they'll be available. It'll be there for us to do what we need to do. And don't forget, there is another 45, 46 other airlines that are partners with Aeroplan, which is why I think like overall it's hard to beat them in this category. So I'm gonna pick Aeroplan because yes, agreed. So if you asked me to rank, I think those would be it. I think I'll rank Aeroplan, American, and then Alaska. Like if you just asked me for premium cabin redemptions only, I might flip that. If you ask me this after March and make it American, Aeroplan, Alaska, yeah. But I think right now, Aeroplan for me, number one. We have to pick three. So number one, where is American? That's my number two. And Alaska would be my number three. Okay, save and review my ballot. So yeah, that's here. That ballot is saved. Program of the year for hotels. Oof, this is, again, is there a program better than World of Hyatt in North America that gives you value, ease of use of points, and all that? Or so I guess we are talking about top three, right? Would your top three be Hyatt, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, or Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott? What would your top three be? I mean, I am in my mind, I'm just picking these three because let's see what the others are. My screen is a little obstructed. MGM, if you asked me during the Hyatt days, I think MGM was right up there for me because for those that go to casinos or to Vegas, MGM will rank very high for sure. Do we have anything for IHG or the other programs? Alex comes back and says, number one Hyatt between Marriott and Hilton, I think depends on each individual travel patterns. They have their pros and cons. Iyad says Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton. Interesting. Oh, yeah, interesting. And also, only because Marriott has so many more properties, can almost always find a hotel in that city. Agreed. And the biggest thing for me personally with Marriott is the ability to transfer to other airline partners when I need some points here and there in a crunch. Wyndham is occasionally useful, yeah, and as is Choice and as are others, IHG. But I'm conflicted now that Iyad has brought that to my attention. Airline partners plus the ability to find Bonvoy everywhere, plus Bonvoy as a program just is large enough, easy to access, kind of similar as Aeroplan has something available for everybody. It is a little more expensive. But because we're choosing best program, I'm gonna go Hyatt, Bonvoy second, and Hilton third for me. But if you asked me purely for redemption purposes, and let's not talk status, this, that, and the other, I might even go Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, because Hilton more and more has given me value now that often Marriott is unable to at a certain price point. Okay, but let's do that. Save. Next one. Oh, this is an interesting one. Best promotion for airline. This should have some good. They have highlighted promotions as well, the ones that we're talking about. Aeroplan 40th anniversary, Spirit status match, never did it. Frontiers, I don't know. American, 500,000 seats available from 5,000. I never did anything. What's Life Miles? I think Life Miles is a good one. Up to 200% bonus reward for purchased miles. Buy miles 3 for 1. Huh. Okay, so that's just more miles purchased. Alaska Global Getaways, Delta Sky Miles Award Deals, Southwest 4 ways to accelerate earning elite status. Okay, just purely based on what I've engaged in, I feel like I'm gonna go with yeah, exactly. Yeah, my reaction exactly. I'm like, it's like we're picking the best of the worst. Sorry, did not engage in that. But Life Miles, I think I'm just gonna pick one. Sure, Aeroplan. Which is my third. Yeah. Okay, American, just for the sake of it. None of them. Yeah, if there was a none of them option, I would totally do it. SAS Euro bonus. Yeah, if this was for the European segment, then yes, it'll be SAS for sure. I think that could just easily win the best in the world, that particular promotion. Okay, what's the next one? Best promotion hotel. Oh, 5 free nights. IHG, Caesar, don't care. GHA, don't care. Hyatt. Hyatt has been so lukewarm for so long. I don't even care about their promotions anymore. Hmm. Yeah, Marriott double night for sure. Yeah, this is definitely number one, just because they have kept it consistent for couple of years now, so you can plan around it. So high Marriott for sure. And the other piece is you don't have to look at these promotions and vote. You can also just purely vote based on which ones you engaged in. Uh, 2x bonus points on every stay. This is garbage. Seriously, I don't care about anything else, any of these other promotions. 5 free nights with IG Premier Card. This one's decent. Now I'm just voting based on which promotion looks good on paper. Okay. And this is why it becomes such a open and diverse group, is because exactly to what Heather is saying. Heather says, I like to think of these questions from two perspectives, road warriors and once a year vacationers. And I think that's where it gets interesting, right, Heather? Because everybody that is exposed to this, which is a lot, and you'll see over the coming few weeks, I'm getting early access to this link because brands started writing in, asking us to promote this to our readers and whatnot. But in the next few days, you'll see these exact brands that are listed here will send all their members an email asking them to vote for them. And so you can realize the catchment of this particular award is just mind-blowing, which is why, to me, these are the most significant industry awards for loyalty programs that are out there. Let's go on to, ooh, this is a good one. Best redemption. What was it? Sorry. Best redemption ability, airlines. This one should get some good comments. Best redemptions. Which program allow you the best redemptions? Alaska would be up there for me. American, I think I'm going to go number one for American on this one. Where is our beloved Aeroplan? Aeroplan would be number two, Alaska number three. That's what I would do. Are there other programs that you think deserve our attention? Okay, well done, Iyad. Yes. Yeah, I think this is the second time, Iyad, I'm not going to read out your comment, but Iyad has sent me something as a DM. But the second time you've mentioned this, and I did look into it. Yep, it is for that exact reason. That program is pretty decent and good for you to be able to use that for so long. But yeah, those would be my options because my redemptions are fairly vanilla these days when it comes to business and first class. Best redemption ability hotel, without a doubt. Hyatt number one, Hilton two, Marriott three. Hilton, Marriott. Are there other hotel programs I don't pay attention to? Nah. Yeah, for this particular community, I think those are the ones. Well, this one could be interesting. Customer service. I like Alaska. I'm going to give Alaska number one in customer service because they are just so damn good. Customer service, airlines. Are there airlines that you've really had good customer service? Yeah, American has been decent for me as well. I've heard really good things about Hawaiian too. I guess the smaller you are, the better you do with customer service. Um, JetBlue, never had to. United, eh. Okay, I'm gonna go with Aeroplan second, American third, because again, it's so nuanced, right? Because I have status with Aeroplan, easy to get through right away. And then they have been able to do things for me that most other airlines wouldn't, kind of like sit down with me, segment by segment, put things up for me and be patient with me and all of that. So yeah, but Alaska is just hands down the best for me because I very rarely use Alaska. I would say one redemption or two redemptions a year. And if I need them for something, they're always available, quick and easy. Most of their people that I've spoken to seem to know what's going on within the Alaska program and are able to proactively give me options for my travels, which I always appreciate. So there's that. Okay. So those are and their agents are very nice. Yes, Heather, agreed. Customer service, hotel. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how to rate customer service for hotels because anytime I've needed help for booked reservations, I'm connecting directly with the hotel uh, and not so much with the central teams, like say a Marriott Bonvoy and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't even know how to rank these ones. How would you rank customer service with hotels? Um, have any of you dealt with and I guess that's one of the things, right? Like if you don't have to deal with the customer service of a particular brand that often and you are fairly an engaged member, does that mean that that brand is allowing you to do things within their systems easily enough that you don't need to connect with their agents? Um, I don't know, but this is the tough one simply because World of Hyatt had concierge service for a few years now, and they have been terrific. So them, Bonvoy, and then Hilton. There we go. Best loyalty credit card. I mean, this one should be easy for me. Where's my reserve? Oh, are they doing only US? Oh, God damn it. No reserve card in this mix. So they're not even looking at what? Best loyalty credit card, America's, and none of the Canadian cards even make the list? Huh, interesting. Okay. Well, in that case, where is my Aspire card and the Brilliant card? I think we'll get two of my votes for sure. Sorry, I'm moving the screen too much, folks. Oh, there's RBC WestJet is on here. Am I blind? Am I not seeing? Yeah, exactly, Alex. RBC WestJet is there. Is that the only Canadian card? Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm calling bullshit on this one. No, I'm not voting RBC. Well, I guess if I had to, American Express membership rewards? What is even this? This is not even a credit card. What? If I click on it, what does no, no. Yeah, seriously. IML says just the concept of Amex membership rewards is just that good. Sure. If that's the rationale, I think it's hard for me to argue that. I don't have a Chase Aeroplan, otherwise I would have picked that. I don't see a Brilliant card in here. Maybe they'll show up in some other premium card category later. But wow, all these US cards. Okay. Well, I guess in my case, I don't even give a damn, but Surpass, I would have picked Aspire and Boundless, but I would have picked another Amex. I mean, Brilliant card would be it. Alaska card, a lot of people like that use it. And of course, the World of Hyatt card. I think the World of Hyatt should get my vote as well. Let's switch that up. I don't care about this Chase card. World of Hyatt has been really good to people. Alex says, I think you should vote for the Barclays American card and the Alaska because I think it gives you 70, 75K on first purchase. Yeah, and just, I mean, I keep flipping between personal use, uh, the idea of the card as a concept, but it's hard. It's hard to decide. I think the thing, if and when you get to do this, just do it based on your personal use. And if you don't find anything like you use, like in this case on this screen for me, then you can do what Alex is suggesting, which is which are the cards that you know are standing like doing really well in the market for its customers. So that could be your way to vote. Ooh, best elite program airline. This is a tough one, and I know folks are not feeling as aeroplan-y these days, but I'm gonna go with Aeroplan number one, Advantage number two, American number two, whereas Alaska number three. That those are my picks based on my personal use. So yeah, again, Aeroplan number one, American two, Alaska three. That literally is my primary program and a couple of secondary programs that I engage in the most. So that best elite program hotel. Without a doubt, I think Hilton comes second to me, and then Bonvoy the third. Just in terms of purely what elite member elite member recognition and what they get out of the program. Save and review my ballots. I think everything is here. 2025, next step. Awesome. This is good, folks. Like I said, thank you so much for sticking around for that last little Freddie bit. I mean, please go and put your voices in. It'll be sometime in April, I think, that everybody gets announced. If you don't get the link from our chat today and are unable to do it, that's totally fine because your inboxes will get bombarded in the next few weeks with this particular link and even from other global programs that you may be partaking in. So yeah, make sure you do your thing. All right, folks, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.